part of these phone calls are coming because we're seeing a transition in our industry, similar to what we saw in '08. And I don't think things are, our inflation and things are as worse they've been in several decades. But, overall, I don't think we're that crazy. But Doug says, his phones have been dead, but so's his advertising. That's the other side of it, too. We got to think about that. Are we still doing some advertising? Because when we look at if the phone's ringing because that type of business has went out of business, what does that mean to me and you? That's the thought of the day right there. If the business, if it is some of the transition of guys going out of business, contractors going out of business and just saying the heck with it, I'm not mowing any longer, those customers are the I almost said it, and I did. I'm not going to say it. You probably. I don't know if it came out enough to know what I was going to say, but I'm not going to say it. But the reality, the reality of it is, we got to think about those customers that are calling. Okay, so I think we got to think about where's the pricing mindset of a lot of those residential and potentially some commercial accounts that are calling us about that. Says, hey, my person's went out of business. Can you help me? Because I think the reality of it isn't, we can help them, but they've been pre-programmed to a predetermined price. And now they're going to think, well, man, Doug, you're too high, or Mike, you're too high, or, whatever, you're too high. Larry, Curly, and Mo, you're too high. When, well, no, we're not too high. Well, that's more than what I was paying. Well, compared to what? The next time somebody tells you that you're too high, I just challenge you to just ask them, compared to what? What are you comparing us to? You comparing us to the guy that's out of business? You comparing us to the person that didn't show up? Or you comparing us to the person that forgot you off the route? Or you comparing us to, what are you comparing us to? Because don't compare me to somebody else until you know what we have to offer. And that, I think, is what we really got to think about. How do we fine-tune our own operations to take advantage of the opportunity of this influx of new customer base? So let me say that one more time, and I'm not insulting your intelligence or anybody's intelligence with that. How do we fine-tune our own operations to take advantage of the opportunity of these customers that are going to be coming along? Now, some of them are just not going to be able to get their grass cut, per se, or maybe get that landscaping done, or get the mulching done, or get their yard treated. I've had several tell me, and recently that, man, I've never paid that much to get my yard treated ever. Well, you know what? We've never had costs like we've got right now either. And I have shared that with them. That, hey, our costs have never been what they are. So I can understand why you haven't had any pricing like this from anybody. But what I do know is our track record speaks for itself, Mr. Smith. We've been in business 43 years. Our goal is to be in business another 43 years. And we're beating most of the industry average with that. And why do we generally fail as an industry? It's because we don't understand the business side of our business. We're great at treating lawns. We're great at putting landscape lighting in. We're great at irrigation. We're great at filling all the hard work part, the working side of it. We're all great at that, or most of us. You're great at it. But what we're not generally great at is the business side of our business. And that's what I challenge everybody to be different and better at moving forward, regardless of how good you are today. Literally, regardless of how good you are today. If you had one chance, one opportunity, and that's what we've got going on right now. This is the chance. This is the opportunity. The herd's thinning out a little bit, and there's probably going to be some more jumping in, because I've seen that happen for 4 decades. It's a constant flow out, constant flow in. So we can't change the out, we can't change the in, but who can we change? We can change ourselves. We can change ourselves. And if we change the little things, we can look at how sometimes those little things are profit killers. And one of the biggest profit killers, if you will, was this that I had, and this is all going back to Wayne's Lawn Service, okay? WLS, right here in Louisville, Kentucky. I'm throwing Wayne out there first. I never once assumed I was cheap, but I found out that I was on some jobs, not all of them. I didn't have them all messed up, but I never once assumed that I was the guy that was underpriced. I was never the low baller. I was never the bottom feeder. It was always somebody else. But until you sit down and you calculate job cost and understand that, hey, man, I thought $70 an hour was right, but really it's $115 an hour that's right. Jesus, no wonder. No wonder I don't have two nickels to rub together. No wonder I keep borrowing money. No wonder me and my bank got a great relationship. No wonder I'm tired of making loan payments. Because I never once assumed I was cheap. I didn't perceive myself that way. But when I sat down and I figured out that was something that was broke for WLS, was our pricing structure. And you guys have heard me preach this message a lot of times. But we got to know that we've got to be constantly looking. Like I think I shared it the other day on the radio with you guys that, I just went through just the other day and we were recalculating. We were running our why you charge, what you charge cost sheets, and with changing different pricing on things, specifically fuel. We went up to $7.25 a gallon on our price sheets. Now, is fuel going to $7.25 a gallon? I don't know. But what I do know is I'm not going to be caught behind the eight ball and being all over social media saying, oh, God, what do I do? How do I fix it? Can I charge my customers more? They're going to fire me. No. I'm the one that's got to take care of it. You're the one that's got to take care of it. I appreciate you guys texting these in. Hey, I've raised my prices $8 so far this year. The more people, the more people call looking for mowing, lets me know you can go even higher. That's right. It's supply and demand, right? Hey, it's none of us do it intentionally. None of us do it intentionally, but it certainly is or can be the number one profit killer. And something else that can be a big profit killer for us is ego buying on equipment. How much equipment do you buy just because it's cool to have? Oh man, that's really cool. I can use that a little bit, but man, that's just cool. That's a bad thing with us guys, man. We like equipment. And it's like, man, that would really make that job easier. That'll make a few jobs easier. What you really got to ask yourself is, what's the cost of ownership on that equipment? So until you understand how to calculate what that piece of equipment really cost you to own, and not just, well, hell, I just wrote a check for it. It wasn't no big deal. It was $1,200 for that saw, or, $2,000 for this, or $5,000 for that, or $300, make a number up. It doesn't matter what type of equipment it is, if it's small or large. But just because you write a check for it and you've got the cash to pay for it doesn't mean that the cost of ownership is worth it. Maybe you're not putting enough hours on that piece of equipment. And that's something I think we can all be a little bit guilty of. And if you want to know what something costs you to operate, run it through a cost sheet. Hey, based on hours of use, direct and indirect cost, additional overhead cost. It doesn't matter if you're riding a Z spray or if you're buying a pipe puller or geo ripper or whatever it is. a lawnmower, doesn't matter. Fill in the blank on the equipment, the truck, the trailer, whatever it is. Make sure that it's not an ego buy, because those are certainly profit killers. Another big profit killer that we're all in direct control of is how many hours in the morning do you waste getting out? How many hours? And that's something just for the fun of it. Just for the fun of it. I want you guys to track that for a week. Even if it's just you, okay? Even if it's just you, or let's say it's you and a helper. How much paid time do you have in the morning just organizing things that are unbillable hours? Unbillable hours are killers to profit dollars. So you got to think about, how can we get more efficient in getting out of here in the morning? How can we get out of here? Because when we make money, when you make money, is when that equipment is in use, not when we're loading it, unloading it, all these little things we do to waste time, and everybody's walking at about 0.73 miles an hour on a good load session. Let's be organized. Let's have that truck ready to go the night before when we come back in. Let's don't come in the morning and fix a flat tire. Let's don't come in the morning and fix a light bulb. Let's don't come in the morning and put the belt on it, because now it's not just you, it's somebody else waiting. So let's take a look at how many hours we're wasting that away in the morning. Drive time absolutely is a profit killer. How much time? Have you ever figured out your route? You just driving around and, I got 30 yards, or I got 300 yards, or I got 500 yards. Whatever the amount is doesn't matter. What matters is, how much drive time do you have on that route? Because windshield time is only beneficial to the guy sitting in the passenger seat. It's not doing anything for your company. Another huge profit killer that I see going on in a lot of companies, and it went on in ours for a long time, was morning fuel stops. Now, I know everybody can't have fuel on site. I understand that. But what you can do, I want you to track it. I want you to track it a little bit. Here's what I want you to track. I want you to track when you pull into the Sip and Gulp or the Speedway or whatever you got in your market where you're getting fuel. Look at your time. Okay, I pulled in at 7:04 a.m. or 8:04, whatever, 9:15, whatever. And when did you pull out? And track that for a week and see how much time you got. And then what I want you to do the next week, this is going to be the easy part. Don't get your fuel in the morning. Get your fuel in the afternoon before you go back to the shop. Because you're going to find you're going to cut your stop time in at least half. We've tracked it too long with GPS on our trucks to know what happens. You're going to cut that stop time at least in half. So what does that mean? That means, hey, I'm organized in the morning. When I leave the shop, I'm not driving 3 minutes or 5 minutes and stopping to get gas again. So I've got wasted hours in the loading. I've got wasted hours. Now, 45 minutes later, and 2 truck later and 4 employees later, we're finally on a job site. Huge profit killers. Huge profit killers.